Welcome. We're so happy to see everyone here. Let's let everyone into the room. Welcome to this training session, Unlocking AI, a workshop for community-based organizations using ChatGPT. This is a Best Starts for Kids supported training that will be led by a community capacity building organization called Inclusive Data. So I'll just see if anyone else is coming in the room. It's 10:03. So we'll give it one more minute. And I'll introduce myself while we're waiting. I'm Georgie Nickram. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Technical Assistance and Capacity Building Program Manager for the Best Starts for Kids initiative, which is a King County supported initiative that is between the Department of Public Health and the Department of Community and Human Services. So Best Starts for Kids is really happy to support this training today. Let's see if there's any more.
Letting a couple of folks in who are trickling in.
Thank you, Kathleen. Great.
Reminder, this meeting is being recorded.
Yes, we've started the recording. Thanks for coming in, everyone. Right, it's 10:04. So I'll just do that intro again. Welcome to this training session, Unlocking AI, a workshop for community-based organizations using ChatGPT. This is a Best Starts for Kids supported training. It's going to be led by Inclusive Data. And again, I'm Georgie Nickram. I'm the Technical Assistance and Capacity Building Program Manager here at Best Starts for Kids, and I use she, her pronouns. And I'm going to introduce your hosts today. Kathleen Perez is the host, and then Mandy Figueroa is the trainer. They are both with Inclusive Data, which partners with Best Starts for Kids as a capacity builder. Inclusive Data is committed to bridging the gap between technology and practical application. And their workshops for us, we're doing 2 in the next few weeks. This one today is AI, and then we're also doing one on June 26th on cybersecurity. And we hope that if you're interested in how to protect your organizations against hacking and demystify cybersecurity, that you will also sign up for that training. And Kathleen, maybe you can put that in the chat, that link at some point when it's convenient for you. But I just wanted to mention it and make sure everyone knows about that cybersecurity training coming up in June. So both of these trainings will provide actionable insights for real world impact. I'm so happy to introduce Kathleen Perez and Mandy Figueroa, and I will turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Georgie. We're super excited. Look at this big, beautiful room. So many people. We're happy to have you here with us today. I am Kathleen Perez. I am a capacity builder with BSK, also a technical assistant. That means that I support people with writing their BSK grants, do a lot of editing, do a lot of reviewing, do a lot of calming down and walking through. It's like a really cool, awesome service. So if you haven't used it before, I definitely recommend that you look into that next year when the BSK next round is coming out. We also do capacity building services, which is why we are all gathered here today. We do trainings. We support organizations one-on-one to meet their goals. We do funding development strategies and things of that nature for different organizations across King County. I love this work, and I'm super excited to have Mandy here with us, who does the best AI workshops ever. So I'm gonna pass it over to Mandy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mandy, Director of Design and AI with Inclusive Data. I'm super excited to be here to help really break down AI, ChatGPT, and demystify it, and hopefully turn it into like one of the coolest tools that you'll be able to use. It is a lot of fun to use. And yeah, about some of the stuff that I do for BSK, I help out with IT and capacity building. And more on the inclusive data side. I do a lot of design work, making documents look pretty, and I do a lot of AI research and trying to figure out ways to incorporate these new AI tools into our work process. And I'll go ahead and pass it back to you, Kathleen.
Thanks. Yeah, I also just want to introduce our team really quick. If you want to come on camera and say hi, you don't have to say hi, but I'm going to point you out. We have Hannah. Hi, Hannah. Thank you for being here. John, Eric, and Devin. They all work with us at Inclusive Data, and we are an amazing little colony of ants who do many things together. And I love working with this team and supporting other teams like us all over the county. Mandy will be sharing a presentation with you to get started. So I'm going to go ahead and let Mandy get that rolling.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, I just dragged my tab off of the window. Oh no.
So many tabs.
I do have about, I think, 70 going strong.
Oof.
Okay. All right, here we go. Welcome everybody to today's AI workshop, Unlocking AI. This will be a workshop for business and nonprofits on how to use ChatGPT. And let me make sure I have the chat open too. There we go.
Yeah, if everybody wants to say hi in the chat, let us know what organization you're from. We'd love to hear from you. A lot of folks here today. This is awesome.
So a little bit about our team, Inclusive Data. When Black businesses and nonprofits are looking for help to find, attract, and win big funding, they get all of that and more with Inclusive Data using strong research and storytelling strategies. We've helped Black and BIPOC communities get millions in grants. Inclusive Data loves loves teaching people how to create their own solutions by and for and with community. Hello, everybody. I am Mandy Figueroa. I do want to share a little bit about my journey with technology leading into how I got into AI. But before I get into that, I do want folks to drop into the chat and think about this question about what are the first ideas that come into mind when you think about AI? What are the first thoughts, rumors that you heard about it? It's like a couple of words in the chat. Oh, I do see unknown, convenience. It's new. New frontier. I love that. Super efficient too. It's really cool. Yeah. Um, oh yeah, the whole thing with art, AI, ethics. I can go on talking about that for so many hours, but not going to do that today. Time saving, support. Yeah, these are all really, really awesome. Oh no, the frustrations with it too is not so awesome, but I will be teaching a very, very useful strategy for getting past that frustration with AI. So a little bit about myself with AI. Overall, growing up, I had a very unplugged childhood. All we really had was TV. And one day my dad he showed me this movie called Blade Runner, and the opening scene for Blade Runner features this woman getting interviewed, and as they're going through and asking this woman different questions, they're zoning in on different parts of her body language, like looking at her eyes. Is her mouth quivering? Is she shifting in her seat or anything? And for me, as a kid, I thought that this person was getting interviewed because they might have did a crime or something, and they're trying to suss out who are the liars or whatever. And I asked my dad about it, and he told me it was a Turing test. And I was like, what is a Turing test? And he told me that it is this test that they give to androids and AI to see if they can pass for human. And this completely blew my mind when I was a kid. And immediately I started to get more and more intrigued about these concepts of technology and coexisting in a space with robots, AI, and yeah, walking away from watching that really cool movie with my parents, I if you would have told me that my future would have involved me being able to actually communicate with similar technologies, I wouldn't have believed it at all. But here we are today talking to AI tools. Like just the other day, ChatGPT released an update that lets you have conversations with your phone and like other devices as if you're talking to a person. It's so cool. And jumping a bit more into the present, my work experience with AI, I've used AI tools to generate images, flyers, posters, videos, so many awesome things. I lead a weekly co-working session where I get together with a bunch of folks, and we help troubleshoot different areas of struggles and issues that these nonprofit owners face when trying to get like certain tasks going. And then I'll help research alongside them what we can do for like different tools and how we can use those to help out. And it's a lot of fun. So why is it a good idea to try AI? Um, One of the biggest things that comes to mind, and it was mentioned a few times in the chat already too, is the idea that it helps to give the gift of time back. It helps save like so much time with different tasks. And I'm going to take a couple of seconds to show off a couple of these. Is my screen now showing ChatGPT?
Yes.
Sure is.
Awesome, awesome. Let me zoom in a little bit. Um, Earlier today, I asked ChatGPT to help me come up with a word map, a mind map, I'm sorry, a mind map for different words and phrases that come to mind when people think about building computers. And ChatGPT was able to do this in under a minute for me. And we can see that I did go through like a little bit of a conversation exchange because it came out all weird looking at first, but I was able to talk to ChatGPT and clean it up a little bit more. Another thing that I was able to do with ChatGPT was create a social media calendar that revolved around this idea I have for a summer program that's geared towards kids where they'll learn the fundamentals behind building their very own PC that they could use for maybe video games. And it created this whole table for me with different ideas for outreach that I can use on Instagram. It came up with the title for the post, the copy, and I even asked it to help come up with a couple of hashtags that I can include too. And I took that a step further. I was able to take that a step further and tell ChatGPT, I want to export this. So it created a downloadable file for me that I was able to export into Google Sheets easier. So now I can share it with my team. Another awesome thing ChatGPT features is the ability to generate images. I was able to generate this image of a kid working on computer parts in under 5 minutes. And I think it came out really cute. And then one of my other favorite things to do with ChatGPT, this is a video that I generated just by stringing a few words together with ChatGPT. I'll only show like a few seconds of it.
Who doesn't love pancakes? But we're not talking about just any pancakes. At Pancake Heaven, we've elevated the humble pancake into a gourmet delight.
I'll skip through it a little bit.
International delights. Our menu is an eclectic blend of the familiar and the unique. Gluten-free.
But yeah, this was all done with ChatGPT in less than 5 minutes. For me to do this, as a designer, I do work with video editing. For me to do something like this, it would take me 2 weeks. 2 weeks to come up with the music, the script, find a voice actor for it, and get all the footage together. But ChatGPT was able to, again, give me back the gift of time. So yeah, this is why I feel like everybody should give AI a try.
Give AI a try. I'm going to write that down.
Oh, it rhymes. I love that.
Just a little try.
All right, so just a brief introduction of topics that we will be discussing today. Our main focus will be ChatGPT. I will go over some safety for when it comes to using AI, and then we'll transition into some prompt engineering basics. We will learn some techniques that are super effective with communicating, not just with ChatGPT, but every language-based AI tool that you'll encounter. And then if we have some extra time at the end, I do want to go over some custom GPTs, which are kind of like, I like to think of them as apps, like different applications that each specialize in doing a different function using ChatGPT, which is what I was able to showcase earlier with like all the different things that I was able to accomplish using ChatGPT. And then at the end, I'll have a Q&A. So if anybody has any questions during the time that I'm going through these slides, please write them in the chat. And at the very end, I will take some time to discuss them. All right. So I want to go straight into ChatGPT. Let me zoom in just a smidge. Okay, so here we have ChatGPT, and I'm going to just do like a quick run through of what this UI is for anyone who hasn't used ChatGPT yet. When you first open ChatGPT, this is usually the screen that you will land on. So right here on the right side, this is the main conversation space where we will be having all of our interactions and engagement with ChatGPT. You'll see at the bottom here, we have this little box that says message ChatGPT. This is where we will send a message. This paperclip over here is where we would go to upload files that we can share with ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will read these files, analyze them, and carry on a conversation with them too. And then over here on the left side, we have at the very top where it says ChatGPT. This will help us open a fresh new conversation with ChatGPT. And then over here on the bottom, right below that, you'll have a button that says Explore GPTs. This is where you can access other forms of ChatGPT, each that specialize like in their own different topic. And then down here, you'll see your history of conversations that you've had with ChatGPT. And if anybody has access to ChatGPT currently, like on their phone or laptop, I do encourage y'all to follow along with me. And yeah, let's start talking about what is ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, to me, it looks like just like a normal like chat page whenever I visit it online. And it's a bit more than that. It's a lot more than that. So ChatGPT is what we call a large language model. This means that it is basically an AI that uses language communication. It can read and analyze words that are typed and sent to it, and in turn, it can generate new text that for you to use. And it does this by using a series of math algorithms to identify patterns in its interactions. This helps it to predict what people want to see with their responses. And just to demonstrate that a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and type in the word carrot into ChatGPT, and I'm going to send it in. And here's ChatGPT's default response to talk a little bit about what it thinks about carrots. But this wasn't the type of answer that I was looking for out of ChatGPT. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed it a few examples for it to help identify a pattern, because I just don't know how to put into words what I'm looking for from ChatGPT. So let's type in a few examples. I'm going to type in apple equals red as one example, and then snow equals white. Also, apologies for my typos. Sky equals blue. Oops. sun equals yellow. And then I'm going to ask it at the end, what does carrot equal? And here it gave me carrot equals orange, which is the answer that I was looking for. So we can see here how ChatGPT was able to use a complex series of math algorithms to identify the patterns that I was giving to it with my initial response to it. And all of this fancy math that's going on behind the scenes is what helps ChatGPT to use natural language processing to understand what's being said to it. This also allows ChatGPT to respond with human-like speech. Also, one thing that I do want to note before we get deeper into this presentation is that this version of ChatGPT that was just released a few days ago, version 4.0, is available for free. You do not need a subscription to access or use this. It does come with some limitations compared to using the like more premium subscriptions, but for the most part, things that I will be demonstrating today are available with the free version. And so the catch with it being free is that, so the way that ChatGPT is able to learn and expand its knowledge is through the interactions that it's having with us, the user. And so OpenAI uses all of the information that we're feeding it to it, all of the words, pictures, documents that we're feeding to it, as a form of training for ChatGPT. And I'm bringing this up because we really do not want ChatGPT to train on our data. We don't want it to learn our awesome ideas. We don't want it to learn about us and have a chance of ChatGPT sharing that with other people that it's interacting with, just because it picked it up from some conversation that we had with it. So I do recommend that don't feed ChatGPT your personal information. Don't feed it any private ideas. And if it's not already public knowledge, do not disclose that information to ChatGPT. And I am going to walk y'all through a quick demonstration of how we can send in a request to OpenAI for ChatGPT to not train on our data. So here is a link that brings us to the OpenAI policies page. Okay, awesome. I have it open here. And so this is the page that we want to go to send in a request for ChatGPT to not train on our data. Well, once you're on this page, go ahead to the top right-hand corner where it says make a privacy request. And once you click here, I do recommend creating an OpenAI account just to make sure that it's a really good idea to have an OpenAI account. That way you can tie everything to one account and make sure that that account is being monitored and is kept private from OpenAI. And you're going to want to do this for every email account that you use with OpenAI. It doesn't work based off of the computer or device that you're currently using at the time of sending in this request. So once you click that you have an OpenAI account, you do have a few options. You could download your data if you want to keep that for later. You can also completely delete your OpenAI account, and with that, it will delete your personal data. If you have been using OpenAI prior to today, and you would like to remove any data that it has currently, you can put in a request for that too. But right now, for this demonstration, we want to go to this option on the top right-hand corner, do not train on my content. And once you click that, pop-up will show up. All you have to do is enter in your email that is tied to the ChatGPT account that you are using. And within, I want to say like, within 2 hours, they usually send in a response saying we are no longer training on your data. Sometimes it will take up to a day. So please keep a lookout for that email. Now, going back to ChatGPT, I do want to talk about a few common terms. Oh, before we do that, I do want to mention it is a good idea that anytime you're starting a new idea with ChatGPT to start a new chat with it, a new chat window. And you can do that by, again, pressing this ChatGPT logo at the top left-hand corner, and this will start a brand new conversation. And I will get into why we want to always make sure we do that here in a few minutes. But there are a few terms that I will be discussing or mentioning as I'm explaining things about ChatGPT. The first one is the word prompt. Prompt is any sort of user input that is sent into ChatGPT or any other AI model that you're interacting with. A prompt could be in the form of a word, like y'all saw me use earlier with my little demonstration with the word carrot. It can also be a list, which is what I did to show ChatGPT the little pattern of, hey, I want you to associate this word with a color. It can also be in the form of paragraphs. You can upload full articles into ChatGPT, questions, anything you can think of. And the next term that I might be using is called zero shot, one shot, or few shot. This is just a fancy word for just like how many examples I'm giving to ChatGPT when I'm talking to it. So going back to this previous chat that I had with the color association, this right here, me just dropping the word carrot to ChatGPT, this is called a zero shot prompt because there was no example, no context, nothing else given with it. And this over here is a few shot where I showed a few examples of what I was looking for from ChatGPT. And then there's a term generative AI. This is a type of AI tool that generates or creates results based on the input that it receives. So it'll use that information that's fed to it, do its little thing with the algorithms, and it'll generate new content for you. And this could be in the form of text, images, audio, or video. And then the last thing that I'll be touching up on is priming. The act of priming a chat is feeding information to ChatGPT in a way to sort of warm it up and prep it for a conversation. This is like, I call it soft training a model to perform different tasks that we needed to do. So this could be in the form of providing examples or detailing descriptions to ChatGPT. And we can see that I did that earlier with the carrot by showing all of those examples to it. I was priming it to be able to do word association with colors. Now, going into prompt engineering. So some of the use cases for ChatGPT, I've already shown a bunch of them, but just to mention a few, it can write emails, it can write social media posts, it can even proofread works, it can summarize complex articles, which comes in handy when I'm trying to read those fancy science papers about how AI works. It can create blog posts, it can write code for you. I'm not a coder myself, but I was able to code out parts of a website for for a client using ChatGPT, and I've never touched coding language before in my life. And I was just telling ChatGPT, hey, this is what I'm looking for. How can I do this? And it was writing the code for me. It could also analyze images too, which I think is really cool.
What do you mean by analyze images? I'm curious.
Okay, so just like a very crude example is you could take a picture of your fridge and you can tell ChatGPT, hey, I'm thinking of making this recipe. Like, I'm thinking of baking cookies and I don't know what ingredients I'm missing. ChatGPT will analyze that picture of your fridge and see all of the different ingredients that you have, and it'll build a shopping list for you, telling you like, hey, you're missing milk, or you need chocolate chips, or I don't really know anything about baking because most of the times when I cook, I set things on fire. But yeah, it will break down an image and it will identify like the objects in an image and it'll tell you, hey, these are the things you're missing.
Can I
And
comment on something?
sure.
Okay, so I download the GPT prior to this session, and I log into this meeting through my phone because my laptop was updating. And I noticed that there is many messages and questions on the chat from me. I didn't send anything. I didn't ask any question. I just noticed that my phone keeps interacting with this session and keeps sending those messages and those questions. So I'm kind of confused. What's going on? It was interesting. It's not me, but it was my phone. Like he's like a human being is interacting with what everything is being said here. So I'm really scared now.
Gotcha, gotcha. Are you using
Yeah,
an
I logged
iPhone?
off from my phone now. I was like, no.
I'll
And
just
Oh,
I logged
we
from
don't
my
see we
laptop.
don't see anything from you. So there's nothing going on in the chat for
No,
us.
I mean it's my phone. I see this on my like my phone keeps sending messages from Sahara Al-Arasi SA. He was asking, can you download this app in your phone or laptop? And someone was answering, it's both. And I keep sending those messages from
Oh,
my phone.
Sahar,
Huh?
let me intervene. This is Kurud. I'm working with Sahar. So
Mhm.
I think that's me who is sending me the question because you send me the link.
Okay.
So
So I
we
was
solved the mystery.
okay, now I got it. I was like, it's not me, I'm not sending those questions.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, now that makes sense. I was like, start, having those. Okay, thank you, Kulut. Sorry, everyone, for this
yeah,
inconvenience.
no,
yeah.
that's
Sorry,
okay. I'm
guys.
glad y'all were able to figure it out. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was thinking that it was maybe something that happened with ChatGPT's most recent update because they did
no,
create a companion desktop app that's
yeah,
able to interact with meetings in real time
yeah.
and do that. So I was just like, what? That's out for the phone now too? Wow, they're fast.
No, because I used her link to enter. I didn't have also access to my laptop, so she shared the link, and it's me, Sahar. Don't worry.
Okay, now that makes sense because I download the app. So I was like, does it? He's doing that? So, okay, that makes sense.
Awesome, awesome. All right. So getting back to your question, Kathleen, I am going to do like I got an idea to do a quick little demonstration where I take an image and I'm going to ask ChatGPT to take a look at it for me. And so this image is a flyer. Let me just Where did I save it to?
Mandy's looking up an image.
Yeah, sorry I look around the window like so much. I have 5 monitors set up with my working station. So I got
5.
the
Can you
image right
imagine?
here.
Can
It
you
looks like a
imagine?
space station. So I am uploading an image into ChatGPT. It is a picture of a flyer for a summer camp. And I want to use this flyer as a reference for myself because I want to figure out like the best way to instruct my graphic designer to replicate like a similar idea that I could use for a summer program where kids learn how to build their very own PCs. So I'm going to ask, so I uploaded the image directly into ChatGPT, it's right here, and I'm going to ask it to help me out. So let's see. Please analyze and break down the design elements used in this flyer that made this into a successful design. I want to be able to direct my graphic designer to create something similar for a summer learning experience that we are hosting for kids. The topic for this will be learning how to build a PC. And I'm going to hit enter. And now ChatGPT is going to take a moment to figure out what I said to it. And now it's breaking down the different elements that were used in this flyer.
Can you show us the flyer real quick, Mandy?
Sure thing. There we go.
Bold and colorful, playful font.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And now
Nice.
show us the rest.
Yeah. So scrolling down, ChatGPT was able to point out the bold and playful typography, such as that used in the kids' summer camp title. And we can see that's accurate. Like it was able to read that this said kids' summer camp, which is so cool. I think it's so cool because it's not like a conventional type of font. It's like bubble letters. It talks about how this is like attention grabbing and fun, along with the bright and cheerful colors, like the use of blues, yellows, and oranges, the imagery, pictures of happy children. And then it even went to talk about like how the frames are like rounded and have a dynamic feel to them, highlighting some of the activities.
Call to action, very important.
Mm-hmm.
We have a good question from Lauren in the chat. Could you ask it how to make the image design more accessible?
Ooh, yes. I love that question so much.
Brain Lauren, love it.
Thank you so much for asking that. Please give me some tips on how I can make this design more accessible.
And I have a question.
Mhm.
Can they transform this design into PowerPoint slides
Gotcha.
presentation?
So what it can do for us, it can take this design as a reference point, and I'll demonstrate that in a moment. It can use this design as a reference point to build out like an outline for a PowerPoint. Okay, so let's see, with the accessibility, increased text readability, font choice, font size, contrast, these are all the things that I look out for as a designer when I'm making these graphics. Color use. Yeah, working with color blindness, I always look for like good color contrast. Including alt text. That's something that I learned how to do with Canva. So much fun.
Simple and clear graphics, simple language,
Mhm.
consistent terminology. Yeah, it goes through a lot. It even had the alignment for the font. So it has some really good advice here.
Mhm.
Another question in the chat is, can they translate the flyer into Somali language? So yeah, ChatGPT can do translations.
Let's see.
What do y'all think? Looks like it's kind of going line by line and translating.
Mhm. This is cool. It looks like it went through all the copy for the flyer.
Mm-hmm. Rachel says, I've heard it does much better translation than Google Translate. Would you agree with that, Mandy?
I agree with it with the fact of like, especially after this most recent update, you can have a conversation with someone in real time, like standing like right in front of you, and it'll translate things on the spot as you're conversing with each other.
Mhm.
And yes, I do recommend being very careful with translation and anything that is generated with ChatGPT because, and always remember this. I'm so sorry I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but ChatGPT and all of these AI tools, they are here to empower us. They're not here to replace us, replace our thoughts, the products that we make. It's just here to empower our workflow. So never use things verbatim as ChatGPT gives them to you. You always want to make sure you double check and read through everything, and always take the time to use whatever ChatGPT gives you as just like a foundation for brainstorming, and go back in there and make as many changes as possible to make sure that whatever you're creating still has your voice, your personality, your branding, etc. Because yeah, you don't want to lose your voice to AI. Chances are there's other people out there who don't know better, who are just using stuff that ChatGPT says, like copy paste. You do not want to sound like those other people. You want to make sure you keep your own identity and brilliance when using these tools.
It's real obvious. And we've
Mhm.
noticed that as technical assistants, after ChatGPT got more popular, we started seeing more grants coming in that had obviously a lot written with ChatGPT, and it's very obvious.
Mhm.
Thanks for the extra demos, Mandy. Feel free to go ahead with what you had planned for us.
Okay, awesome. So let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna skip that one example. So some other things that ChatGPT can do is it can also do like interactive storytelling. It can help build scenarios. It can even create like text-based game conversations, which I think are fun and engaging. When writing and refining and optimizing your prompts, always remember that ChatGPT can still make mistakes. It's not always perfect in the way that it responds to you. Sometimes it'll take a little bit of practice to get the desired outcomes from ChatGPT. So always remember to try to have as much patience as possible when you're using ChatGPT. If it gives you the wrong answer, just use that as a reference point as to how you can go back and rephrase whatever prompt that you gave to it. And it's super easy to go back in a conversation to edit your initial prompt or edit any of the prompts that you've given to ChatGPT. You go back to your response to it. Oh, let me see if it'll let me do it here. I know ChatGPT 4.0, the newest version, wasn't letting us edit certain ones. So you can go back to a previous response that you've given to ChatGPT. For example, here where I asked it to give me some tips on how I can make the design more accessible, I can hit this pencil icon that appears at the bottom left-hand corner, and this will let me go back and edit what I said to it. So if I wanted to, I could say, please use this these design details to construct a PowerPoint presentation outline. And then I just hit save and submit, and it will go ahead and it will update the rest of the conversation from that point down. And we can see it's outlining the slides for us in regards to the different design elements that it observed in this flyer that I uploaded earlier.
Super cool.
And then from here, like I showed earlier about like with the, what was it, a social media calendar that I made with ChatGPT, you can ask it to be like, hey, I want to download this, and it'll format everything into the slides for you and give you a nice quick download link that you can use. Now, so yeah, always remember to be patient when interacting with ChatGPT. And just as I demonstrated a second ago, your prompts aren't set in stone. You can always go back to them and you can refine them, rephrase them, reword them, and redirect the conversation more towards your desired outcomes. And overall, I know that I said that ChatGPT uses all these fancy math equations and stuff to generate responses for you, but try to think of it as human communication. There are rules to follow, there's methods and best practices for when it comes to communicating effectively with other people. Sometimes it takes a while to figure out like the best way to get your points and ideas across to someone before you get into the groove of having that easier communication. The next thing that I want to talk about is understanding some of the limitations with ChatGPT. ChatGPT does have morals and boundaries set in place that it can't cross. It won't provide us with any sort of information that it deems as harmful or illegal. And just to mention it again, this process of communicating with ChatGPT is called prompting. It does operate within like certain constraints with the prompts that we give to. Its data training is limited up until around 2022. But with this latest update, ChatGPT does have the ability to browse the web. So it can catch up on certain topics if you instruct it to look it up. And prompts can be as simple as just like a question or a word, or it could be super complex. The quality of the answers that you get from ChatGPT are dependent on how you communicate with it. And always start a new conversation whenever you're tackling a new idea with ChatGPT. What I found from using all these AI tools is that if you have them specialize in one specific idea, then they'll be super duper efficient and accurate with the responses. But if you have a conversation where you're going through 10 different ideas, it's going to start getting confused and it's going to start hallucinating. So always keep in mind, I guess me with like I tell my friends and everybody that I have goldfish memory, and if you tell me way too many things, I'm gonna start getting confused and I might just start hallucinating too myself. So try to keep your conversations targeted towards one topic and things should be fine. So a method for generating more consistent and accurate responses. I did see in the audience today that we had some expression of frustration because ChatGPT doesn't always work the way that you want it to. Doesn't always give like the right answer. Sometimes it's way off topic. And today I'm going to teach the ultimate secret. And the secret you'll be able to take into any other type of AI tool that you use. So the first thing to keep in mind is context. Contextual relevance is like the most important part of communicating with ChatGPT to get those accurate responses. You always want to make sure you build up as much context as possible. Now, for an example, I'm going to just post into ChatGPT that I wanted to generate a plan for a kid's summer program. And it's going to create like this whole like week by week plan for me or day-to-day plan for me. And I'm waiting for it to like finish this response and I'm frustrated because I'm like wasting my time waiting for this response. That's not even what I'm looking for. So if you ever find yourself just wanting ChatGPT to stop, you can hit the stop button right here. That's in place of the send button that we use to send ChatGPT a message, and it will stop its word vomit. But yeah, this is just going off on a tangent that I did not want it to go on. Like literature and storytelling, what does that have to do with building computers? Theater? That has nothing to do with building computers either. What was that? Under the sea? No. Water is actually computers' like worst enemy. Like this is a horrible summer program plan. Why would you do this, ChatGPT? And
I have a question. I would like to ask about AI meta because we see it now every day over everywhere around our phones, like WhatsApp, Facebook. Is it exactly the same usage?
so all of the AI that's tied into like all these different apps that we're seeing. So as far as I know, WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram are all using Meta AI, and it's kind of like a similar interaction. You can pull that AI into your conversations and ask it different questions too, and I want to say that it does work on like the same concepts that I'm going
Mhm,
over here to like, you want to make sure you build as much context as possible when
mhm.
you're communicating with us so that it gives you like the right response that you're looking for.
Yeah. And my follow-up question on that, when you talk about Meta on your other apps, um, like Facebook or let's say WhatsApp, it's already accessing your personal information. So how you can classify that? Is it are we should be more cautious and using different app, which is I don't know. I'm just thinking because it's already accessing your phone number. Your phone number has your family contact information and so on and so forth. The same thing with your Facebook. It would have your friends, your family members. So
Mm-hmm.
how can we be cautious about our privacy in the same at the same level?
I would say just be careful what you post on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. I myself, I try to be as private as possible when using those social media apps because already Facebook, and Meta are training on our data, training on the interactions that we have, as we're doom scrolling through things. Like it's taking notes just so that it can target better ads at us. So yeah, Facebook is turning into that big company that does have all our information. The only tip that I can really give is just be careful with the types of stuff that you share there.
Eric has his hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to interject real quick. These, so AI is brand new technology, right? This technology is literally changing every day, and all of these massive companies are adjusting their bylaws, they're adjusting their terms of service. Like we won't even see most of this until it happens. Um, so as Mandy said, just be careful, but there's no way to tell what any of these companies are going to do from day to day. So, live your life as you do, use their services as you want to, but just keep that in mind. What may be true today may not be true tomorrow in terms of their terms of service, what they're going to do with your data, and things like that. Personally, I wouldn't, so long as you're not doing anything illegal, stuff like that, I wouldn't stress too much about it. It's just a part of life and the life that we live today with the technology that we have available to us today. And unless there's some type of legislation that's put in place to prevent these major companies from doing XYZ, there's nothing we can effectively do um, to adjust it aside from not using their service. So I hope that answers your question.
Makes sense. Thank you so much.
Go ahead and continue, Mandy.
Thank you so much, Eric. I love when you explain all this technical stuff. Okay, so going back to the demonstration, I asked ChatGPT to make a plan for a summer kids program. It did an awful job. I don't like it. It's gross. So I'm going to go back to my prompt and I'm going to try to be a little bit more specific with what I'm looking for. So before I said I just wanted to generate a plan for a kids summer program, let me try to tell it like a little bit more about what the summer program is going to be about. So I'm going to say the summer program, it revolves around building computers. And now that I sent that in, ChatGPT is updating its response to be targeted more at like computer building concepts for kids. Awesome. We got like what is a computer, a little bit of like background about how computers came to be, exploring the different parts and safety. I like this. We can see that ChatGPT was able to make this more targeted towards what I was looking for, just with like a little bit of added context. I didn't even add a lot of context. I just gave it like one short little sentence, and it was able to readjust itself. So overall, without enough context, ChatGPT may generate a response that's off topic, irrelevant, inconsistent, and it just isn't the goal of what we're looking for. But adding that little bit of context will help target it a bit more. So that's step one behind the hack for getting better responses out of ChatGPT is more context. I want to say the more the better, just make sure it's all related. And so the next step for this awesome hack with communicating with ChatGPT is called role playing. Now, role playing is my favorite thing to do with ChatGPT. It's super powerful. It involves specifying a role that we want ChatGPT to assume. And by doing this, it kind of gives like a little bit more of like a foundation or background information that we want ChatGPT to know as it pertains to the conversation that we're having with it. So the way I like to think about it is trying to like appoint a role in a play. Like that role has a character, a name, it has all this background information about the character, personality, all of these things that I wouldn't initially think to tell ChatGPT that I am looking for. And by defining this role, ChatGPT is able to sort of make these assumptions for us and implement them for us. And best time to use this is at the beginning of your conversations. It could be something that's like, oh, you're a computer science professor and I am a student, and then this is what I need help with. Or you can say that you are an AI that's trained to provide advice on healthy eating habits, and then I'll proceed to ask it like the different questions that I have. Defining the role for ChatGPT to assume just helps give that extra foundation of not concept, sorry, context that we want ChatGPT to keep in mind when generating its responses. And also, like, the best thing is that if you don't know how to define a role, you can ask ChatGPT to do that for you, which I am going to demonstrate in this activity. So I want to use ChatGPT to design an event where we showcase like different types of computers for kids to get like hands-on with and interact with as they dive into this summer program for building PCs. And I want this event to be as engaging and interactive as possible with like some fun learning activities and stuff. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT. I'm going to say, hey, I'm looking for help with designing an event for my summer program that is about teaching kids how to build PCs. I'm just gonna say I am looking for help. Okay. I'm gonna say what kind of role would be best suited to help me out with this task. Okay, so ChatGPT is suggesting that a tech educator or instructor would be best suited for helping me come up with an event plan for this. So I'm going to take this into account, and I'm going to ask ChatGPT to create a persona based off of this. And I'm also going to make sure that this tech educator has like a little bit more experience with event planning, so I'll be sure to note that as well. Please use this information to make a persona. Be sure to include experience with event planning. So now ChatGPT is taking the details that it gave to us about the tech instructor, and it's weaving in a little bit of experience with event planning for us. And we have this persona named Alex Ramirez, age 35, tech educator and event planner. Oh, and now it's giving us a little bit of background information about Alex, going into some points about the technical expertise. tech experience, STEM educator, event planning skills. Awesome. All types of responsibilities he would be down to take on. That's really cool. Some of his personal traits. Oh, and he has a personal quote too. That's so cute. The power of hands-on learning. Nice. So from here, I could ask ChatGPT to change some stuff about the persona. I'm pretty pleased with this Alex person, and I think I'm going to just go ahead and ask Alex to help me plan out this event. Okay, so for my summer program that will teach kids how to build computers, I'm going to give like a little bit more context about what I want to see in this event. I want this event to include as many engaging learning activities as possible. Oh shoot, I'm so sorry. I forgot a super important step. Let me hit that stop button. So just going through the steps that I took so far, and then I'll mention the step that I missed. So we weren't too sure how to define the role that we needed help filling for completing our task. So I asked ChatGPT, what kind of role will be best suited for this? ChatGPT defined the role for us. And then I asked ChatGPT to take all of the details about that role and to roll it up into like a nice little persona for us to use. So it created this persona for us, Alex, gave us a whole bunch of details about Alex. And the very important step that I forgot to do was ask ChatGPT to pretend that it is Alex. It is super important to tell ChatGPT that you want it to now embody this role, this persona, as it helps you, because then it knows that it's going to be referring to these different elements that make up Alex as it's generating its next response to you. So let's send that in and update the chat. Awesome. So it's creating like a nice little overview for us. Oh, we're going to have our hands-on activities, educational games, and a showcase. Okay, so he wasn't able to figure out the date for us, which makes sense, but he was able to help come up with like a nice little projected duration for it too with breaks. It's awesome. Oh, he talked about like the targeted audience. And here's like the whole event schedule. All tech bingo. Oh, an interactive presentation going through different computer components, hands-on passing around the components for kids to see and touch.
Hey, Mandy.
Mhm.
Can you explain why, just give a quick explanation as to why adding like if you go above where all the context is, where it's like going over his job, going over his education experience, can you give a little bit of an explanation as to why that's important? Like why that information is useful for ChatGPT to have?
Yeah, for sure. So, and I'll explain this using an example from one of the times that I was helping out a client come up with a persona. So the cool thing about getting an insight about the background and all these other elements behind the persona before you use it is to get the opportunity to tailor the background of this person to be more in line with your organization, be more in line with like a similar background that you had too. One of the examples from when I was helping out a client is that they they were looking for a persona that was more in line with some life events that they have been through and like same educationally too. Um, so we were able to go in and say, hey, I want this persona to also have come from the same country. I want this persona to also have had like the same experiences as they were trying to merge more with like the people around them after moving into like this whole new country and experiences. I want this persona to speak the same languages. I want this persona to have had like a similar education experience as me too. And these are all different elements that we can include with these personas to make them like into a more relatable entity as we are creating these social media posts, as we're designing these flyers, events. If we want if we want like our engagement to have more like cultural awareness behind it, we can also shape that up as we are building these personas that we're using to help us out with. Oh, and I do see.
Awesome.
Oh, sorry, Eric. I noticed
I was
that we
just going
have
to say, we
a.
do have a follow-up question in the chat.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I just noticed. So why a persona versus just using ChatGPT straight up? So using a persona helps to build a very, very strong foundation of context that just having like a regular like one-shot engagement with ChatGPT wouldn't give us. One thing that you should always keep in mind when starting a conversation with ChatGPT is that each new conversation with ChatGPT is sort of like its own person. Um, it's its own new person, um, focused on like its own set of like details and information that was given to it as you were speaking to it. And really, it just like has no idea who you are, where you're coming from, what type of answers you're looking for either. So building this persona sort of helps prime it in a way to have more targeted responses.
Another way to say that, just to add on a little bit, is it'll allow you to speak in a different voice. So let's say, for example, you were using ChatGPT to help you edit a grant application that you've written, or edit your social media posts. If you just go to ChatGPT and say, "Hey, make me a social media post for this topic, this subject, have these whatever," it'll give you a generic response. Well, if Mandy asks it the same question, it'll give Mandy pretty much a very similar or the exact same response, the exact same voice, the exact same language. It'll look like someone copied and pasted and then just edited it a little bit. Nobody likes that, and it's very obvious to tell whenever someone is just using ChatGPT in that way. It's very unoriginal, and it doesn't have like your voice and your context with it. Having ChatGPT take on a persona, you can have it sound like a Southern, like someone from Texas. You can have it sound like someone from your unique, demographic or area. You can have it speak more in a voice that aligns with your community, and that's the most important part. In this context, yes, it can give you better ideas for your program, but it's not just for that. And this kind of goes in line with basically everything Mandy's taught y'all today. It's been essentially like, more of the basics, more of the, beginner stuff, but everything goes way deeper. And you can go that route, but you don't have to. Like, you can really get into the weeds with AI. You really don't have to, though. But the most important thing, just to wrap up the answer here, is it'll allow you to speak in your voice and in a way that's much better than just using standard ChatGPT. It can help you get, as Mandy said at the beginning, it's supposed to help you save time. If you just use a default generic ChatGPT as it is, well, you're still going to spend all this time changing that stuff into the way you want to speak to your community, into the things you want to do. Whereas if you give it context, if you have it take on a persona, it'll save you a ton of time in the process and help you kind of get to where you're trying to go instead of messing around, doing it all yourself.
So I just a comment. So does it give more, in other words, more cultural appropriate context as we give details to our messages?
Let me take this, Mandy.
Mm-hmm.
It can. So it largely depends on what context you give it. You can ask ChatGPT to, within certain constraints, to take on the voice of like your specific community. but ChatGPT does have some safeguards around it so that certain communities aren't like targeted in a way with AI and misinformation. So you kind of got to be careful around that. But when it comes to you actually providing it with the context you want it to use, it can give all of that cultural relevance and all of the things that you're referring to. Just depends on what you give it. And there's multiple ways to give ChatGPT this context. You could either have it create it itself, which is what Mandy essentially showed you with having ChatGPT create a persona and then going from there. You can also have, say, all of this stuff typed up in a document, like a PDF document. And that PDF document can say, or a Word doc can say, you know, this is my community, this is how we speak, this is the language I use, this is the capitalization I use for these different words. This is how you say, you know, XYZ. You can kind of go down the list and give it all of that context. And whenever you prompt it to provide you with whatever it is that you're trying to get out of ChatGPT, you can have it reference that document that you gave it and say, hey, reference this document and give me XYZ. And it'll read the document and it'll give you everything in that context, whether it's cultural or whatever else that you've provided it. In some cases, it can also do that for websites because it can search the web and review your website. But there's depending on how your website is set up, it can read certain things and not others. And yeah, hope that answers your question. And I'm just doing a quick time check here. We have about 17 minutes left. I do have another question I want to get to that someone asked earlier. And then if anyone else has any questions, let's go ahead and open it up, you know, to people. You can ask your question in the chat or you can ask it verbally. And then if we don't have any questions, then we can move forward with another example. Maybe we can give a sneak preview of custom GPTs if we have time, just depending on what we get. But to answer, someone asked earlier, question, thoughts and experiences deploying ChatGPT subscription teams or enterprise? This is a very good question. This is something that we considered a lot. At Inclusive Data, we actually did sign up for the team account. I think maybe 4 or 5 of our staff each had their own, you know, individual ChatGPT subscription. And you know, it gets a bit messy tracking that over time. So we consolidated most of it into just a team account. And if you look at Mandy's screen share, it says, you know, ID team TBS GPT. That's the name of our team account right there. I think as it pertains to the team account, it makes some things a lot easier. I also think it's largely redundant, but the things that it makes easier is giving people access without having to have multiple different payment like payment cards, without having to have multiple different accounts that we have to keep track of. It makes it a lot easier. Also, I don't know if it's still the case, but when ChatGPT originally launched, you had to attach your phone number, like your cell phone number, to the account. And that's how they prevented people from having multiple accounts. With the team account, you don't need a cell phone. It's strictly email based. So that's been nice. When it comes to like the actual workspace, there's some rules you can set, but it's actually pretty limited. And I don't think it's personally the best use of I don't think it's worth the money to get the paid account versus a free account versus the team account. Like I don't really think it's worth it. It's nice to have, but it's not necessary, and it's not like something that's like, oh my goodness, I get so much more at XYZ. Most of the additional benefits come in additional like usage of GPT-4, and which you have unless you're on ChatGPT all day every day, you're really not going to run out that often. If you already have a paid account. The free subscription, I'm not sure how long that'll last in terms of like how many uses of it per day that you get. When it comes to the enterprise, though, I think the enterprise would definitely be worth it if you can get access to it. The problem with the enterprise is there's so many companies that want it. They are not looking at the small fish at all. Unless you have like tens of thousands of users that you want to get into enterprise, I doubt you'll even get a response to your email or your inquiry to sign up. It's not something, unless they've changed it, it's not something you can sign up for on your own. You do have to request it, And then that request usually goes via email, or there's a sign up form on their page, and they'll say they email you back or what have you. You get an automated response, but you won't get another response after that. We've requested Enterprise 5 times since it became available, and we have not heard back. So uh, your results may vary, but I do think Enterprise would be worth it simply because there's a whole lot more control over what you can and can't do. You can restrict users' access in a different way. So if you want your team doing this versus that, it makes that a lot easier because there's certain things you don't want your team to do. By default, it makes everything private. It doesn't train on your data, which is probably the most important thing when it comes to working with, say you're with an organization with 20 volunteers or what have you, and you get them all a ChatGPT subscription. You can't really control what they enter into the chat window. You want people to be careful and want people to be safe, but people make mistakes. There's plenty of banks that learned a very hard lesson, and lawyers about using ChatGPT the wrong way. So we've learned from their mistakes. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. What else do we got?
Oh, Eric, I also
Mandy, you
want to
want to take
add,
it from there?
I just want to add like one more quick idea, that Enterprise grants users, which I think is super amazing. You get access to ChatGPT's API, and the API is basically like this key that you would use to start developing your own applications. Um, Built off of ChatGPT, which I think is super cool. It also enables you to use ChatGPT on other platforms too. Like, for instance, if you had a cute little robot sitting on your desk, you would start talking and using ChatGPT as a knowledge base with the use of an API key. But yeah, I do see that we got a few more questions in the chat. Do you have any recommendations or resources on how to learn more about AI? Like more on how it works, how to use it, ethics and such. For me, I've used a lot of my resources for AI revolved around interacting with communities online. So online communities that are built on studying AI, because AI is still such a new concept that folks are like collectively learning about it together. Another good resource has been YouTube. YouTube has been my best friend with keeping up with AI news. We also have like a really, really awesome co-working session where I dive in deeper into these awesome AI topics too. Eric, do you
Let's
have
add a
anything
little
to
bit
add
to
with that?
that. Yeah, the all of that is important. I think especially for people who are strapped on time, which I'm sure all of you are, YouTube using AI can actually be a big benefit there. You can actually have ChatGPT or other AI tools summarize YouTube videos for you. And so I would go to the YouTube video, find one that you find interesting to learn more about it, and then have one of these AI tools summarize that information so that way you can just read through it. Or you can get shorter bites instead of having to take 30 minutes to an hour, what have you, learning about it that way. Having someone on your team, spend a little bit of time, learning about different things and then bringing that back to the team. I think it's been helpful for us. For us, that's been largely Mandy. She'll go out and she'll learn all these different things, bring it to the rest of us. When it comes to there's not a whole lot you're going to find when it comes to ethics. There's a little bit of information out there, but ethics is a whole different ball game when it comes to AI. There's a lot going on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't realize. Like there's like real life humans behind all of the creation of AI, behind all the different tools. There's people out there who are like largely paid nothing or very close to nothing to help develop the back end of all of these AI systems. And the problem you run into is that you might ask yourself, well, if people are being treated poorly because of AI, like I really don't want to get involved with it. Well, every single thing in your life that has anything to do with like a major corporation is going to involve AI regardless. All of your banks are going to start using AI. The Gmail and all the email providers are already using AI. Microsoft Suite's already using AI. As someone mentioned earlier, Facebook and all that, it's literally all going to be using it. So what we advise people is to just get informed about these topics. We actually do ethics workshops as well when it comes to AI separately, but get informed and at least move with the knowledge that there are real live people behind this AI infrastructure, past the programmers and past the designers. So that's how I'd finish that answer.
Okay, and I'm sure you just answered that question. The next question that we have, does ChatGPT connect with any other Microsoft products?
Sort of. Microsoft has their own AI system and an AI infrastructure. Like Microsoft, Google, and Meta, those are like the big three, I would say, when it comes to they're all in a horse race essentially right now in terms of who can be the best and the biggest and et cetera. So I don't know that Microsoft suite connects to ChatGPT directly. I know you can have ChatGPT create like documents for you. You can have it create like Excel files or CSVs and such. But when it comes to actually utilizing your Microsoft suite, I don't think that's there yet. And I'm not sure that's ever going to get there because Microsoft is developing their own. Yeah.
And I believe the AI that Microsoft is currently working on is Azure. So definitely looking forward to seeing more implementation of that in the Microsoft products. Okay, I see one that says the 3.5 version I have, which is the free version, does not allow for attachments or images. I did hear that OpenAI is working on rolling out this update for ChatGPT 4.0. So it might just take a little bit more time for you to get it, but it does allow, it is a free to access version of ChatGPT that allows you to access the same capabilities as ChatGPT 4.0. It's way faster. It's like twice the speed, and it's way more efficient with its answers, but it will also allow you to upload images and documents for ChatGPT to analyze. It will also allow you to interact and explore the many GPTs that ChatGPT has in its library. It just won't allow you to do like any of the image generation or create your own customized GPTs.
Real quick, Mandy.
Mm-hmm.
Since you're still sharing a screen, start a new chat window real quick.
Sure. There we go.
Now show people how to change from 3.5 to 4.0.
Gotcha. Okay, so to do that, there's a little drop-down menu over here where it says ChatGPT 4.0 on my screen. Clicking on that will allow you to access different options for ChatGPT. So we have, this is the 4.0 model, and then this is the 3.5 model.
Yeah, so if you look at this and you currently only have access to 3.5 and then 4 is grayed out or 4 is not there, it's because you're not paying for the 4 account yet, ChatGPT 4.0 yet, or I'll just call it ChatGPT 4 to not confuse it. With that being said, everyone is going to get access to ChatGPT 4.0 also for free. You should be able to change it right now from 3.5 to 4, doing what Mandy just did. If you can't, just give it maybe a day or two and you should get access.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, our next question is, how do you download your responses from ChatGPT? So how I like to download responses, sometimes, like, say for instance, I want to save the persona that ChatGPT created for me, or I want to save this response that it gave to me. What I can do is I can either just manually highlight this response and then hit copy and then paste it into a Google document. Or what I also can do is just hit the download button over here. Oh no, this is now the share link. I'm sorry. ChatGPT used to allow you to download the entire transcript for a conversation, but now it's a share button to share the conversation with your with other people. So yeah, I recommend highlighting the parts of the conversation you want to keep, and then opening up a Google document, and then pasting it in. And usually, ChatGPT is really good at allowing you to paste with the formatting. So we can see that we have like this nice organized outline for this event that we asked this persona to make for us.
Yeah, Mandy, this is Taylor. You showed like you had a like a spreadsheet or something, and I was just wondering, how did that get created from it?
Awesome. Thank you so much for asking about that. So there's two ways to do that. The first method is the same that I just showed. It's just you highlight the whole table, and then you can copy and paste this into a Google Sheets document. And I will show that real quick. Here we go. And then I just hit Control V, and then it pastes all the elements from the spreadsheet that ChatGPT made into here. We just have to do a little bit of formatting. Alternatively, I can just tell ChatGPT that I want to export this out as a CSV file, and ChatGPT was able to make a downloadable link for me. Then I clicked it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And let me see if I can open it real quick. I believe this is going to open into a Microsoft Excel. Okay, the formatting is a little bit weird, but it did bring it into an Excel sheet for me. I have found that using Google Sheets, it's a much easier place to access these files.
Awesome. So we are about at time. I wanted to make sure that to thank everybody for attending. We will stay, Mandy and I will stay on for a couple extra minutes to, do more Q&A if, anyone else has any questions or anything like that. But I did want to, give respect y'all's time, let you know that we will be providing this recording to anyone who attended. King County BSK will also have this recording. We'll be sending it over to Georgie. And then we're going to have supplemental materials that we'll provide you as well. Someone asked earlier, like, what resources can I, get and whatnot to learn more about this and that. We're gonna have basically some information for you guys that you can use to get more informed or to give to your folks to do the same. And then yeah, so it was a pleasure. If anyone has to go, please feel free. Georgie, are you still on?
I am.
Awesome. I didn't know if you wanted to say any last words real quick.
Thank you everyone for coming. It was a fantastic presentation, Eric and Mandy and Kathleen. Thank you very, very much. And I hope everyone will attend the cybersecurity training that is happening in June. I think it's June 26th.
Awesome. Thank you so much. If anyone is interested, we do have, we would love it if you would give us a review. You don't have to by any means, but if you, enjoyed this workshop, if you think it was a five-star workshop, we would love to hear about it and to share it with our community. I have the link for that in the chat. And then with that being said, if anyone else does want to, stay on, we will go ahead and continue Q&A. I think I missed one earlier. For those of you who do have to go, the Q&A will still be part of the recording, so you'll be able to see it in case we didn't get to your question. Someone asked, does ChatGPT save your personas and reuse them if you ask it to be Alex again?
Gotcha. So OpenAI is working on implementing like a memory-based system with your chats so that there is a chance that it can remember who Alex is, but I wouldn't depend on it just because it might create like some additional confusion pulling from that memory bank. So what I do recommend is just copy whatever personas you make and save them into a Google document. Doing this, you can access them at any time, you can improve on them. You can add more information to them if you want, but having them like tucked away in a Google document, make sure that you always have them in arm's reach, and then you can just copy them, paste them directly into the conversation that you want to use them with in ChatGPT. And yeah, that's one way that you can make them portable.
One thing, just add a little bit to that. One thing that we didn't mention is ChatGPT and all of the other AI models, they have a memory limitation. So they have a certain amount of characters and words that they will remember for one specific context window. So one specific chat will have a certain amount of memory. I don't remember what the number is off the top of my head, but I remember when ChatGPT did initially come out, I think you can do like maybe 4,000 words or something like that. And then once you hit that 4,000 word limit, it'll forget the very top thing you said and continue to do so as you get more and more into that same chat window. That being said, now I think it's like 145,000 words or something a whole lot larger. And Google's new AI has a context window of, I believe it's 745,000 words. So these things are getting having much better memory as time goes on, but that is important context to have. So the reason why that matters, let's say at the very beginning of a chat window, you give ChatGPT a how should you say, you give ChatGPT a persona and then you continue talking to it through there. People do this a lot for grant applications. um, Once you hit that limitation of its memory, it's going to forget that persona and start only going after the information that it's had from there on. So that's why it's important. Aside from grant applications and writing books and whatnot, it's not easy to hit that context limitation. And paid users, I believe, get much more memory than free users do. But yeah, that is important to note.
Thank you so
What are
much for that, Eric.
some
Next question I see here is a really important one. What are some precautions to take so that you don't give ChatGPT your personal information? And so the biggest thing to keep in mind is that if it's not already like public information, publicly available, definitely want to safeguard it. The best practices that I usually do when I'm asking, like, for example, for ChatGPT to write an email response for me or something, is I'll make sure to redact all the sensitive information. So I'll take out addresses, phone numbers, I'll remove like any last names, like any like true identifiers. Try to think of like all the things you try to safeguard so your identity doesn't get stolen. That's definitely the information that I would want to make sure that ChatGPT doesn't have. You for sure don't want it to have your social security number or anything like personal or private, because again, OpenAI is using ChatGPT sort of as a front, like a sponge to soak in all of this information and data from the interactions that it's having with other people. So you don't want ChatGPT to go to like some random stranger and share that information with someone else. Now, next question I see here, can ChatGPT create images? So if you are using the paid version of ChatGPT, it can create images. I see we still have a bunch of people here. Is there a picture that y'all would like to see ChatGPT create real quick? Just share an idea in the chat.
Yeah, or come off mute and say, hey, make a picture that does XYZ. And
Yeah.
we'll just demonstrate that real quick.
Can you this is Jesse. Great, can you maybe use the example that you're using before where you fed it that flyer and you said you wanted a similar flyer but for a different event? Is that
Gotcha. Yeah, let's give that a try and see how that works out.
But I'd also love to see just you putting text in and seeing what happens.
Okay, awesome. I love the idea of going back to the flyer because I don't think I've actually uploaded an image to ChatGPT before and asked, hey, can you make something similar for me? Okay, so I
While you're
pasted the.
working,
Oh, sorry, Eric. Go
while you're
ahead.
working on that, you're not sharing your screen, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, I am so sorry. I always do that. There we go. Okay, so I pasted and uploaded the flyer into this fresh new conversation I have with ChatGPT. So I'm going to say, please create a flyer. I'm not going to be super specific because I just want to see if it can just create like a similar flyer. Please create a flyer that is similar using bold colors and fun fonts. Oh, it's thinking about it.
It can give you things in different aspect ratios as well, but it does have very specific limitations in terms of what aspect ratios it can provide.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look at that. It was able to take like the whole summer camp idea and make this layout for us. This is so cool. So
That is so cool. Thank you.
yeah. So the only downside is that we can't take this flyer and manipulate it ourselves, but this is also like really good to have just to generate ideas. As a graphic designer, a lot of my time sink ends up being like scrolling through Pinterest or Google Images for different ideas that I can use for different flyer layouts or merch layouts for like shirts or mugs, because a lot of the times I don't know where to start, and that could take so many hours to do. Oh, I do see we have a hand up for Jesse.
It's me again. I wanted to give other people opportunity as well. But if there's no one else right at this moment, you all talked about ChatGPT, like Teams and Enterprise, and I during just now looked a little bit online. Um, it's a little confusing though online. What would you recommend for like a small like nonprofit? Um, is it Teams and Enterprise is separate, or like you can do each you know
I
you
got
can do
this one.
them separately, or you can do them both, or can you just like summarize just like a brief general rough recommendation?
Sure.
Thank you.
So it largely depends on on if you want to restrict certain accesses. If you want to prevent people from making a mistake. The only way to really prevent your team from like making a mistake and sharing too much information with ChatGPT is to have an enterprise account and to give them the enterprise account. Because then you can restrict a lot more things. With that being said, I wouldn't recommend going with an enterprise account, especially for small nonprofits, because as I said earlier, good luck even getting their attention. They're really only focused on like people who can pay a lot of money, major corporations when it comes to enterprise, banks and so forth. With that being said, thank you, Georgie. You have a great day. With that being said, um, I wouldn't recommend a small nonprofit to pay for ChatGPT at all. There's a couple reasons why. Number one is because, well, that's just more money that's not going to go into your programming, or that's going to come directly out of your operating expenses. That's really unnecessary. Uh, the free version of ChatGPT, as well as all of these other apps, usually have plenty of context, plenty of memory available for you to do what you need. With the new 4.0 version for ChatGPT, they've unlocked pretty much everything you can do with the paid versions for free. You just have a more limited memory. It's not quite as fast, but it is still faster than anything that was available before. And you can still use majority of the features with the free version. Even if you don't have 4.0 access yet, you can still use most of the capabilities of ChatGPT with 3.5. The big difference you're going to notice is there's a smaller context window, smaller memory limit, so to speak. And there's also, you don't have the ability to use the different apps that ChatGPT has, which we didn't really get into. You don't have the ability to make custom GPTs, which we weren't able to get into this time. But if there's enough, if Georgia gets enough interest, we might be able to do a more advanced ChatGPT session for y'all. And then but that's totally up to Georgie. And then what else? And it doesn't quite give as well thought out responses for what you're trying to do. If you're doing things that are relatively simple, it'll give you pretty much the same information. But if you're trying to do something more advanced, that's like, hey, help me edit this grant application. Here's the voice, here's the language, here's everything, here's all of this context. It's not going to be able to do that as well as ChatGPT 4.0 or ChatGPT 4.0. So with that being said, just to kind of sum it up a little bit, I would go with enterprise if you want to really control the information that your staff are utilizing. If you go enterprise, you're gonna basically want it for everyone on your team, or most of the people on your team. Otherwise, it's not really that useful. If you want ChatGPT Teams, which is not enterprise, it's totally separate. Anyone can get Teams. Anyone can sign up for Teams. You don't even need a business. Um, it's just a different way that you can kind of be able to control, who has a ChatGPT account much more easily. You get a little bit extra memory, extra speed. But aside from that, there's really not that much of a point to it. They do have like a workspaces feature, but on the website, it makes it seem like that your team will be able to work together like within a context window. That's not the case. Like within one chat, that's the way it looks like it's supposed to work. That's not the way it currently works. Maybe in the future they'll come out with that, because I would love that. I would love to collaborate with Mandy on like a chat in a single chat GPT window, and us to kind of go back and forth trying to edit what we're trying to do, or for me to be able to see what are my team up to in ChatGPT right now, and to be able to go in and access that specific account and help people as they go throughout their day. That would be wonderful. That is not the way Teams works when it comes to ChatGPT Teams. So long story short, I would recommend you guys should stick to the free version, especially if you have access to 4.0. If you don't have access to 4.0 and you really want to get into more of the advanced features of ChatGPT, pay for maybe a single subscription for ChatGPT and 4.0 and sorry, ChatGPT 4, and use that. I think it's like $30 a month right now. And then use that for your team. We share access to our team account on ChatGPT. So that way we're not wasting money, because we don't all use it at the same time. And we don't use it a ton, but we do use it frequently. So we could use ChatGPT like, once every 2 days or so, or once every day, but we're not using it all day, every day, is what I mean. And if you find yourself in that situation, then I would recommend getting maybe one account, sharing it with your group. But aside from that, stick to the free versions and you'll be just happy. You'll be just fine with that.
Thank you.
Mhm. Sorry, I'm long-winded. I can just keep going.
I have a tech background, so that's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, I want to give space for others to ask questions. Thank you.
Yeah, and if anyone else has any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We do have maybe 3 more. Does ChatGPT Enterprise have a nonprofit rate? I wouldn't be surprised. Most organizations do have a nonprofit rate, but I don't personally know if they do or not, or how to sign up for it. You can contact them, their sales department, and ask. I haven't personally seen a way to sign up for it, but I wouldn't be surprised that they have, at the very least, an enterprise nonprofit rate. I'm not sure about the team or the other one. And then your thoughts on logging into ChatGPT via Google email versus creating an account with ChatGPT. I'm assuming unapproved data collection is one of the main concerns. So if you're referring to like a single sign-on, I'm not. There's an interesting way these technologies work when it comes to using single sign-on. And by single sign-on, I mean whenever you can sign up with email or you can sign up with Google. Signing up with Google doesn't necessarily give access to every single thing in your Google account to whatever it is that you're using to sign on with. It just gives a security token directly from Google itself to that organization to be able to communicate back and forth to allow your login. I wouldn't consider that a like giving that organization permission to share your like all of your pertinent data and whatnot between it. Unless it explicitly says it, then that's not the case. I think for some cell phone apps you'll find that. Most cell phone apps you'll find that, especially if you use an Android, you may or may not, they may or may not tell you what information is going back and forth. On Apple, I find it pretty much does. You have to give it permission for every single little thing you want. But when it comes to like the actual open AI account, I don't think there's a concern there as far as like OpenAI having all the information from your Google account. With that being said, I personally use an email sign-on for most things anyways, because I save, I have like a password manager app. I use 1Password. And also when it comes to sharing access to different members of the team, let's say you have one OpenAI account, you want to share it with one of your coworkers. Well, if you use your Google sign-in, you can't share that, because then you'd have to share your Google sign-in with somebody, which is something you should really never do. With that being said, if you signed up with your Gmail email and a password, well, that's different. you can share things like that with people and not have to worry about, oh, they have access to my email too. Hope that makes sense. And then do you have a resource that shows examples of a variety of good specific questions versus not good that we can use to prompt ChatGPT? Good specific questions. I wonder if you're still here, can you give us a little bit more context?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I know just from sitting through this class that there's just a lovely breadth of what ChatGPT can do, but it really is limited by how good you're asking the questions. So I would love to see like, okay, I'm looking to create like a PowerPoint for this. Here's an example of a good way that I can ask specifically what I'm looking for versus, I think this would be a good way to phrase it, but it actually doesn't work with the ChatGPT algorithm. So I think just examples of like, if I'm, trying to prompt for, creating an activity or creating a flyer, just some breakdowns so that then I can play with it myself and have a better idea. Does that make sense?
I do think that makes sense. I'm wondering how we would effectively implement that because these things change a lot. What do you think, Mandy? Do you think so I know what one thing people do is they'll have like a list of prompts you can give ChatGPT to do different things. It's very surface level, very like, the very first thing, very first prompt. And they don't usually go into like secondary and tertiary responses. But I'm curious what you think, Mandy.
So the way that I approach that, because I always struggle with formulating and asking the right questions in any given situation. And sometimes I spent like a lot of time talking to ChatGPT and feeling like I'm not really getting anywhere closer to the point that I'm trying to make with it, or any closer to like the type of results that I'm trying to generate with it. And one thing that I learned that I can do with ChatGPT is always always start like including like as much context as possible, even if the context doesn't coherently make sense. Like in sentences, just start making a list in ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will be able to start like analyzing that and adding it into context when it's generating new responses. And then another thing that I learned how to do afterwards at the end of my workflows with ChatGPT, which involves just painstakingly going over and over again and reiterating like what my prompts are saying, and changing them and improving them. At the very end, what I like to do is ask ChatGPT is, hey, how would you best describe like this work process that we went through? And what is a better way that I could have worded my initial prompt to get these results that we've arrived to? And by doing that over and over again, you start to pick up on like these different like patterns and sort of really get like a nice, like, I want to say like intuition type of feel for ChatGPT when you're communicating with it, to start thinking a little bit differently as you're approaching your conversations with it. Does that make sense?
That is a fantastic pro tip because I've got some workflows and I love being like, how do I make this better? So wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Mandy mentioned this, but you can ask ChatGPT how you can make its prompts better, the prompts that you give it better. Did you mention that?
Yeah. That
Okay,
was like,
sorry.
I felt like that was like such an out of body, like mind blowing experience. Like, what? I can just ask ChatGPT how to do this. This is it kind of brings me back into the day when we were starting to get more used to having Google access for asking Google like random questions about things, or back when we had Ask Jeeves. I don't know if anybody remembers Ask Jeeves, but it was always
Yeah.
just like, oh, you have a question? Just ask Jeeves about it.
Okay, you're starting to date yourself.
Ah!
With that being said, I think what could be, if there's enough interest, what we can do is we can maybe create a list ourselves of like, prompts we would use to do specific things, and then like, allow people to kind of expand from there. Folks think that'll be helpful. Oops. I closed the window that had all of our questions. So I think we looks like we finished all the questions there, and then here's another one in the chat that I don't think was included. If you use a workflow or project management system like ClickUp, an AI add-on feature might be useful. It doesn't do a lot of the fancy stuff like ChatGPT can, but it's awesome for more basic things like write me a social media calendar this year with XYZ parameters and integrates directly with the system. Okay, so not a question, but more like a statement, and then they had it out. So one thing I did say earlier is AI is going everywhere, whether we like it or not. And all of the like a lot of the tools and systems that we use in different aspects are integrating AI in these different ways. And for our benefit or not. And we focused largely on ChatGPT today, but there are multiple other resources, other large language models and the interfaces out there that you can use right now. Claude is one. Google Bard is another, or maybe they changed the name. I forget what it is. But there are multiple out there that can do the same things that ChatGPT can do. Some free, some paid. I think Meta's coming out with one. I think they're focusing more on music or something. But yeah, and there's also the image generation, the art and whatnot. You got to be real careful there. There's a lot of ethical things there, but that technology does exist. It is out there, and it can be useful depending on what you do. All right. Do we have any last questions before we close out for today? All right. If not, Mandy, you want to go ahead and give your last thoughts?
Yeah, oh, this was such a fun presentation. I love talking about AI so much. I do want to close this out by just doing like a quick little run through of like all the ideas that we covered. So going back to this cute little slide deck for like a minute, we did talk about safety with AI, how ChatGPT by default is set to train on your data, but there are ways to mitigate that and put in a request for it to not train on our data. We did go through the basics of ChatGPT, what it is, how it's using math for answering our questions, which I feel is like pretty ironic because ChatGPT is like kind of bad at actually doing math when you ask it to help you out with complex math problems, but it is working on getting better at that. How it uses natural language processing, just like a human would, how it identifies patterns for developing better responses. Then we went into prompt engineering, what is a prompt, the different things that ChatGPT can do, what our role and responsibility is as the user who is using these AI tools, and the different limitations that ChatGPT has. Mainly like it's limited within a scope of safety. It's also limited within like the amount of information that can be fed to it. And then how we can refine our answers and this awesome strategy of building on context to get even like better, more consistent and accurate responses from ChatGPT, branching into role playing, my ultimate favorite technique when it comes to communicating with ChatGPT. I feel like it's the most powerful technique to use with it. And it really does help not just to like influence like the way the ChatGPT is thinking with its responses, but also its behavior, its voice, and just so many other layers of context behind that. We also touched a little bit about how we can refine prompts with ChatGPT. And you saw earlier, I was able to customize some deliverables that I got from ChatGPT, asking it for answers to be in the form of an outline, a bulleted outline, for example, or having ChatGPT make a spreadsheet type of table for me as its response. And just as a final note, ChatGPT did help out with planning the original outline and run a show for this workshop. So all the way at the very beginning, like back when this workshop was at the super baby planning stages, I did use ChatGPT and ask, hey, what's the best way that I can tackle this beginner workshop? And I did have it make a nice detailed outline for me to start refining and shaping more into like my teaching style. So yep, as I mentioned, this still required a lot of human work and intervention in order to create this great and interactive experience. And another cool fact is that all of the images that I used in the slideshow were generated by ChatGPT's DALL-E image generative AI, also using Meta's AI, which is the Llama 3 model. Just I'll take a moment to scroll back through these images, except for this image. This was a screenshot from ChatGPT. But we have this cute image with a robot building another robot. And these were all just image prompts that I just fed a few words into ChatGPT and asked it to generate images for. But yeah, that was it for today's workshop. I want to just take a moment to thank everybody for attending and asking all of these awesome and exciting questions.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys so much. Hope y'all have a great one. If you can, please leave us a review. We would love it. And if you want a more advanced AI workshop or any other workshops in the future, please let Georgie know. We train people on all sorts of things: fund development, AI, data and evaluation. What else? Storytelling, budgets, grant writing, grant review, like all sorts of things. As well as cybersecurity. And don't forget, sign up for our cybersecurity. We have a cybersecurity workshop coming up. I think it is next month, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go ahead and get the link for y'all. Sorry about that. My computer is slow. Here it is. Where's the chat? There it is. Here's the link to the cybersecurity workshop. If y'all are interested in signing up to that, that'll be hosted by Ryan Wright, our Director of Cybersecurity and IT. And yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you all. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Y'all have a great day. Good job, Mandy. Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.